Hello everyone and welcome back to another Draft Today video here on my YouTube channel. I'm Jeff Hoagland, and here in front of us we have our first Set 6 pack. And today we're going to be drafting triple Set 6 Gardevoir because this is one of the release weekend events here. Our rare here is 3-3, or 3-5 for 4, excuse me, and Wild Valor, so this deals double damage. I really don't think I want to pick up a Ruby card for our first card. If there's other reasonable cards in the pack, this color combination is... Ruby is kind of weak in this in general, and usually your good Ruby cards come out of set 5, so Ruby's probably exceptionally weak in just triple 6. That's another reason to avoid the Surging Wildfire that's usually a particularly powerful card. I think the best card in this pack is actually the Shackling Strands, just like quality Sapphire removal. It also is the only good Sapphire card in this pack, so it kind of cuts that color for the person I'm passing to. See, I think the Strands is definitely the pick. I actually don't even think there's anything else really worth consideration here. Like, maybe there's a world where you can value Deepwood Draka highly, but I'm not really a fan of the Conscript deck compared to the Sapphire cards. And we get rewarded for having taken the powerful Sapphire card with a pack that has a bunch of really good Sapphire cards in it. Cloudbounder is excellent, Skittering Cultivator is fine, Consult the Talons is very good. Just 10 out of 10, basically never passing Consult the Talons in this format when I'm in Sapphire. It's just super powerful, draw 3 cards with triple mobilize. Even when you don't end up in Ada, it's still very reasonable, just like draw 3 cards in the mid-game. Dun, 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 dun. Easy pack. Maybe could have spent some time talking about the other cards that weren't on Shard in that pack. There's a Vanquish in there. Usually that comes back around a little bit late. I was more impressed with Vanquish the earlier in this format, but now that I played a little bit more, I think I was overvaluing that card to start a little bit. It's good and playable, but I don't think you need to quite aggressively pick it up as much as I was. Like, it's not quite as good as something like Shackling Strands. It's very good. As far as cards on Shard in this pack, we got Magnetize, which I don't think is very good. I don't think the Dreadling archetypes are great in this format. Verdict of the Ancient Kings, Windswim. And we have Webborn Apostate here. It's just a very good Sapphire card, so that's almost certainly going to be our pick, so we don't have to move into another Shard. Cards in this pack from other shards that are reasonable. Draka Outcast. Maybe if we would have gone into the Conscript deck, this would be another... Like, if you'd have first picked the uncommon Draka, here's a common Draka that you could be on in this pack by now. Mooncall Ceremony, very reasonable diamond card. Conscript 1 cost, or 3 cost troop, then make it cost 2, so it's good turn 1, turn 2 series. Spiritbound Vicar. There's probably a Sockets deck in this format, but I've never drafted it to date. Mostly because I just constantly get past obnoxious Sapphire cards to keep playing. Three very powerful Sapphire cards, our first 3 picks here. Takes a charge from our opponent and gives it to us. This card's like probably constructed playable if there's a Sapphire Crusader deck. It's like putting your opponent behind a charge and you up a charge is like fine. There's like an extra card in the Crusader deck. Meet your underworld requirements. This pack's got a couple of really good Sapphire cards. Cerulean Sage is just like good low curve card. 0-3 for 1 with Diligence, gets +2 power and flight until the start of your next turn, so it's kind of an evasive threat. Vigilant Duskwing is just a fantastic bomb. It's a 3-5 with flight that readies to the start of each opposing champion's turn. And then Sweep Away is also great, returns a troop to its hand and gives you a Broombot. I think the pick here is definitely between the Duskwing and the Cerulean Sage. I think I'm more inclined to take the Duskwing just because I'd like to have more bombs. Spearcliff Knight's a playable Sapphire card, or playable Diamond card in this pack. Galleon Sentinel is probably the best wild card. We have another Conscript card here, so we'd have a pretty good start to the Diamond Wild Conscript deck had we gone that route, but we also just like haven't seen any actual Conscript cards. I guess there was a Mooncall Ceremony in that one pack. Huh. maybe I am just biased to drafting Sapphire cards. I just have such a good win rate with these shards in this limited format. We can just rename Draft Today to Hoagland Forces Sapphire every day. I've had one non-Sapphire deck in the series so far. This pack, we have a Sweep Away and a Cloudbounder again, and then Mooncall Ceremony and Gallant Knight Spearcliff are playable. Other cards, True Heart Skirmisher and Arena Regular are both playable Ruby cards, but I'm really hesitant to draft Ruby in this 6/6 format because, like I said, the best Ruby cards are definitely out of set 5. Cloudbounder is a card I first picked before. If we get enough density of 2 drops, which hopefully we will over the course of 3 packs, it's just like 3 cost, 3/3 with flight. It's going to win you a lot of games. Looking for 2 drops, looking for removal, looking for card draw, looking for powerful cards that are worth moving into a second shard type 4. Yep, just snap taking the Cloudbounder here, gonna help Jake us up the real quick. Sorry about that. Other cards that are powerful in this pack. Again, we'd have another Draka Outcast here. Maybe I should try and force other archetypes more often. Here we're clearly committed to Sapphire, but the Conscript deck is actually probably pretty insane in the 6/6 format, because the Conscript deck can be kind of hard to get when you're drafting 6/6/5, since your last pack isn't going to have any Conscript cards in it guaranteed. But I guess if you start prioritize picking those cards when you know you're going to get a third pack of set 6, it's got to be much better, right? Another Webborn Apostate, and this would be our 3rd Draka Outcast if we were. It's just kind of neat keeping track of, like, what the other cards are that are coming around, and, like, someone else is picking them up, so, like, obviously it's going to change as the packs go on, but, like, we'd have a pretty reasonable start to the Conscript deck by now. And we've picked up 2 2-drops here to go along with our 2 Cloudbounders. Ideally, we'd like 6 to 7 1 and 2 drops to support the Cloudbounders consistently on turn 3. One of the things you have to think about Cloudbounder when you're looking at your curve, too, if you have enough 1s and 2s, this Cloudbounder isn't really a 5, so like it kind of changes how you think about how many shards and stuff you're playing like that. Up next, jeez, we just like aren't even having to pick, and we're cutting Sapphire super hard out of these packs, which is great. So we should get a lot of powerful Sapphire cards in the next pack too. Skyspire Scholar is excellent. 0/6 for 3, 1 shot, 6 cost, draw 2 cards. This is also really good with all the revision effects in this format. If you end up moving into Sapphire Diamond, like in addition to the actual card revision, there's the 2/2 flight that can revert target cards, so you can just like turn all these other effects into draw 2 cards as well, which is pretty good. I like going hard into one threshold type in your first pack, especially because that way you can kind of like leave what your second color that you're going to go into, your second threshold type you're going to go into for the next pack based on like kind of bomb you open. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Wakuna coins here. There's no guarantee that we're going to end up in a diamond as our secondary threshold here, but it's a reasonable pickup if we do. Just like, and cutting someone else off of coins is fine. There wasn't anything too particularly playable in that pack. The Revision is a card that I like, but it's definitely not a card that's worth moving into Diamond for. So... Here's a Vanquish. None of these other cards in here, so I'm going to go ahead and draft a Vanquish. Destroy target troop with power 4 or more. It cuts the only reasonable diamond card out of this pack. I really don't like this card. It's a 2/3 for 3 that puts a troop with cost 1 or less from your crypt into play and gives it flight. Like, I definitely... Maybe that card could be good in, like, the green... the wild diamond conscript deck, because like it brings your Drakas back into play after they die, but I definitely don't like it in Sapphire Diamond. Don't have that many relevant 1-drops. This pack, Verdict of the Ancient Kings is a card I never actually play in this format. Canyonwood Fleetfoot's a card that I've played sometimes, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. It's 2/4 mobilized for 4. Occasionally you can like ambush things on the ground, but usually this archetype's pretty good at going up the ground anyways, and we end up having cards that are better than this. So I don't think that card's particularly exciting. Nothing particularly playable in this pack. I'm going to cut this Gallant Sentinel because it has Skyguard and we've got flying troops. The Feral Tactics occasionally sees play, and Underworld Oppression is like okay against the Ada deck if you're already in Blood, but I don't think either of those cards are worth moving into. I mean, so we've got a few diamond cards now, but still like not committed to that as our second shard by any means. I'm going to kind of wait and see what kind of bombs. Like if we open a Strangle or an Underworld Officer, for example, in pack 2, we would definitely move into playing Blood Diamond at this, or Blood Sapphire at this point. Grieving Vial's like a fine card to play like one of in your main deck. It replaces itself when it comes into play, and it voids all cards in the opposing crypt whenever you want. So it could be like an okay tool against opposing scrounge decks. Yeah, pretty much just picking up Jeff at the end here. I've actually played this card in Ada before when I come up a little bit short on playables. Diligence, your troops get +1/+1 this turn, so if you like throw it on a Phantom, it lets your guys in the sky close pretty quickly, but the opportunity cost is kind of high, because if they kill your threat that you put it on, you're down the threat and down a card from the Tale of Compassion now. I think the blue tail is a little bit better just because it draws a card, but I've played this before when you're tight. If you're a particularly aggressive slanted Ada deck, I think Tale of Compassion is fine, but a lot of the times you're a little bit more mid-range control-y than aggressive. And there aren't going to be any set 5 packs in this draft, so we won't get any Jet Cadets, which means without Jet Cadet, you'll have a harder time getting an aggressive curve. Survey says. Alright, this pack's kind of interesting. Well, we opened a Strangle, and I talked about that being a card we'd possibly move into Blood for. We also opened a Cloudbounder and a Warpsteel Shardsworn and a Zorath's Rectory here. Rectory's pretty good. You can put the action creation gem in it and just kind of run people out of the game by just like generating small amounts of value. I kind of want to take the Warpsteel Shardsworn. I feel like Strangle's probably objectively the best card in the pack. Just like give it -4/-4 and it's quick removal. I could see any of these 4 cards being the correct pick. Our deck's kind of light on removal, but the fact that I would have to move into Blood and like give up this coin is not completely unreasonable to avoid this. I also just like wouldn't mind having infinite Cloudbounders in my deck. It's like lots of 3/3 flyers is really good. One of these two is dice because it leaves us open. I think I'm gonna grab the Strangle and just like hope to see an Underworld Officer in one of these next 2 packs. I think Strangle's definitely the better removal than Vanquish on average. The upside to picking up the Rectory too, though, is it's like a 300 platinum card, so that would kind of pay for the draft, so that was something to consider too. This pack's got some good Blood and some good Sapphire in it. I don't think I want another Vigilant Duskwing. Our curve's not that bad up top here, but because like the Cloudbounder is really kind of cheaper than it leads you to believe based on its curve. I think I actually want to pick the Cheap Shot up just because like it's the best blood card in this pack, and it sends the message that we're going to cut some blood cards to my opponent that I'm passing to, so maybe we're more likely to get blood cards in the next pack. I also like a third piece of removal, so removal into removal makes me pretty happy to move into blood here. Maybe we'll get really lucky and that Cloudbounder will come back around. There's only one other person drafting Sapphire, they'll have to choose between the Shardsworn and the Cloudbounder, and maybe the Cloudbounder makes it. Definitely not completely unreasonable. Up next, Underworld Officer. Underworld Officer. Underworld Officer. My blood Sapphire decks are always much better when they involve Underworld Officers, but I have one without it for sure. No Ossifer. Playable cards on Shard in this pack. We've got a Mosh Pit Gladiator here. 5/1 Stockable Miner. Love putting the Intimidation Gem in this. We've got another Vigilant Duskwing. I think I'd like to pick up the Duskwing here, just because this is a nice card that plays like offense and defense for us since it readies every turn. This card really hits hard and fast, though. Yeah, I'm going to pick up the Duskwing. I think the tipping scale on the Duskwing is that if we get another Underworld Officer, if we get an Underworld Officer or two, the Duskwing is Underworld, which makes the Officers better. For those that are newer to the game, Officer is a Blood Sapphire 2/2 that's unblockable, that whenever it attacks, it gets +1 power until end of turn for each Underworld troop you control. So very powerful evasive threat. It's kind of awkward that one of our blood cards is like Stringle since it's double blood, but I definitely think that's worth the pickup. Up next, Underworld Officer. Another Webborn Apostate. Yep, happy to grab that up. It's another more ways to take charges from our opponent and more ways to enable our Cloudbounders here. You know, we still got, even if that other Cloudbounder we saw doesn't come back around, we've got another pack here yet, so good chance we end up with a third Cloudbounder, so we'll just want a critical density of 2s. You also just, like, want 2-drops in this format, because I feel like a lot of people aren't making proactive plays. Like, if this card, like, gets in 2 to 4 points of damage and then trades with something and gives you a charge, like, that's a lot of work for a card to be doing. Nothing in this pack is particularly good. I don't think this Spore Maw is great in this format. Definitely not good in the deck that I'm building. This is one of the better cards in the Dreadling deck, just as like it's huge, it's a brick wall, and like it generates fodder for you. Sanguine Boon is like an okay trick, but it usually doesn't end up making my cut for playables. And we have an Necropolis coins here, so 10 out of 10 grabbing that. Coins, this is easily the best coin in the deck. It's because it's the best coin in the set, because it just like gives you some reach, and every deck's just like looking to close, so sometimes you just like steal games because your resource happened to kill them in addition to cycling itself. This pack's kind of stinky. Don't have a lot going on here. I'm not a fan of Dread Apprentice. We don't really have any scrounge stuff. The Flashpaw Trickster is like okay, because we've got a lot of other charge gain going on, but it's a 4/2 on the ground is just not particularly great. I don't think Mechanized Gem Scout is very good in decks that don't have access to Diamond, because you don't have the Flight Gem, and the other minor gems in it are kind of mediocre, especially in Blood and Sapphire. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Zenthal Hunger here, actually. I feel like our deck wants a little bit more card draw, and this can also buffer our life total as well. We're probably going to get into plenty of board states where like we have a Webborn Apostate sitting around, or like whatever cheap shots got conscripted up that we can sacrifice to trade in for a new card, in addition to gaining us some life. This pack doesn't have anything particularly interesting in our thresholds. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Gallant Spearcliff just because we don't have a ton of blood stuff yet. So if we like opened a Diamond Bomb still, we might play it with like this Coins and the Vanquish and the Spearcliff. Talonkeep Watcher, if I was possibly going into Ruby, like this Fire Soul Gemsworn is just a total bomb in this format for those shards. But again, the lack of a set 5 pack at the end means Ruby is kind of a risk that I would not recommend taking. Wow, we got there's 10 cards, so this cheap shot made it all the way around. That's pretty good. There must have been other good blood cards in this pack, or other people just aren't really on blood. Plenty happy to be splashing blood. It does mean The fact that that was a 10-card pack means that this entire pack got around without us seeing an Underworld Officer, which is kind of sad, but we do have another set 6 pack here coming up since it's 666 that we could possibly get one of those. We have about 14 playables right now. Do I have any in the reserves? I guess this Gravebane Vial is theoretically playable as well, so we're at like 15 playables, which isn't too bad. We're only halfway through this pack. Snag 1 to 2 more. Maybe that Cloudbounder can come back around to us since we're going to start seeing things that wield. I like Cheap Shot because even if there aren't a ton of X1s in this format, this is often just like a reasonable combat trick. You can like make attacks, and then like once you get someone with a Cheap Shot, you then get to like start making attacks in that look bad that they won't be blocking. Nothing particularly great. I don't want a second Hunger, and I would love a second coin, so 10 out of 10 picking that up. In 665, you almost always end up with too many playables, and you just want to prioritize coins. Man, with 3 set 6 packs, I'm going to have a ton of coins in these drafts. I'm super excited now. The Arachnoglider actually isn't completely unplayable. I think I'm happy to pick that up, just like a 2/2 flyer for 3. Kind of getting to the middle to the end of the pack where the dredges start coming up. The dredge of the... Alright, yep, I'm just gonna grab the Archaeoglider here. Arachnoglider. I don't know that we're gonna play 2 of them necessarily. We're at like 16 playables now, so if the next pack is good, we can cut some of these. Up next, I actually really like Tomb Swap. I think this is a fine playable card. You usually have enough bombs and one of them's going to die at some point, and if your bombs aren't dying, like, you're happy. So Tomb Swap is basically just like another bomb in the mid to late game that also just like gives you a random dredging that occasionally you can scrounge or sack to something like Zenthal's Hunger. Nothing great in this pack. I guess I'll take the Sanguine Boon, might board that in against an aggressive deck. So up to 17 playables theoretically, so I'm definitely going to bin one of these gliders for now, because we realistically want to play 18 shards in this deck most likely. So especially with the 2 coins, like playing 18 shards is excellent. We'll probably get a 3rd coin in the next pack. So. All right. This is it. This pack, 2 officers, I can feel it. Maybe even 3, possibly 3 officers. Please, Ossifer, I need your help. I need your help, Ossifer. Come down here, Val. Constrained Convoy. Rats. I just wanted uncommons. Was that so much? Soul Speaker Revenant. Diligence. Put a random troop from your crypt into your hand. That gains all the socketed powers of this. So, I've yet to rare draft yet in this pack, so let's find out what this card is worth. Survey says only $2. I think rather than pick up a $2 card, I'd rather grab the Skyspire Scholar here. Or definitely 10 out of 10 gonna play this. Pretty happy with it. A little bit more card draw. Man, no officers yet, and no additional removal either. I guess Cheap Shot's kind of removal, and it's probably the pick out of this pack. This returns a socketed card from your crypt to your hand, so I don't think that's particularly good. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab another Cheap Shot here. We kind of wouldn't mind some more 2-drops. I guess Cheap Shot's like a pseudo 2-drop, right? We can like Cheap Shot something and then play a 2-drop, and then play the 1-drop as a 2-drop. Come on, pass me an officer. Officer friendly, the underworld officer. So we got another coins here. I don't think we want a 4th Cheap Shot. I think I'd like to take this Blood's Favor. Just like draw 2, lose 2 is probably fine. I could see the Windborne Ascension being reasonable, just like Conscript's a 3-cost Underworld Troop with Flight. I'm gonna grab the Favor for now. Gonna use some more card advantage. We've got like 2 Scholars and a Hunger. It's like 4 ways to draw cards. Sign me up. Or 5. We've got to consult the talents here too. Playable uncommons are playable. This pack is poop soup for us. Nothing really going on that we're interested in doing. I'm gonna cut someone off of these coins because I definitely don't want either of these blood cards in this pack. See if we get fortunate enough to find 2 more 2s here. It'd be insane if we get a Strangler or an Officer. Another Skyspire Scholar. I guess I could just like keep moving in on that plan. This card's kind of a bomb. If it can attack the first time, it just like starts being a 5/5 life drain for 4. I don't have any 4-drops currently. That might be marginally better than the Skyspire Scholar when I already have like a Hunger, a Blood's Favor, and a Consult the Talents too. I'm gonna grab the Carver. I don't think I've actually cast this card in Limited yet, and it seems pretty powerful. 5/5 is gonna get to attack in on most boards. Necropolis coins. Yeah, I don't think I'm interested in Shroud. And now 23 cards drafted here, but we need a few more playables ideally. Nothing particularly exciting in this pack for us. I'm gonna grab the Diamond's Favor because it's one of the best cards objectively in the pack. I guess we could move this Archaeoglider back into the main. If we come up short, we still got like half a pack here to go though. I think our Underworld Officer dreams are pretty much dead though at this point. Web Scribe is fantastic. This is everything we're looking for. It's another 2-drop, and it's just a reasonable 1/3 that has a relevant text box. It gives an opposing troop -2 power until the start of our next turn every time we gain a charge. So we ended up a little bit light on bombs. We've got 4 of them, I guess. So I'll grab the Withering Gaze. I think that card's particularly good and limited, but you know, it's constructed playable. Maybe it's worth 5-10 plat. This is our original pack that's coming back around here now. Yeah, nothing particularly exciting in here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab one of these. You know, honestly, I might just play the Gravebane Vial in the main here. Oh, never mind. There's another. I don't even know what to do with myself. There's just so much money. Look how we're just going to nickel and dime our opponents out of the game in the most literal sense. This is 22 and then resources, so And to be completely unreasonable, I don't think we passed any reasonable 2-drops though, so I don't think we're getting any more. I don't know if my life is at the point where I'm willing to play a barrier bot, but we're gonna draft the barrier bot. You know, maybe that's the thing that's gonna happen. I guess against a particularly aggressive deck, I could see myself bringing it in. Not completely unreasonable. Revision! I can't believe this didn't get drafted. People undervalue this card, I think. It's very good in the Diamond decks in this format. Alright, and what's the champion going to be? This is probably just a Renner deck. I'm a big fan of Renner in this format. Like, 5 charges, draw a card off their deck. It's like, generate some small card advantage. What do our costs look like? We got double bloods, and then we don't have double sapphires until we're all the way up here. So this is probably a 10-8 deck. And we only need 6 blood to make 10 blood threshold since we have 4 coins, which is awesome. I don't have any sockets in this deck, so yeah, we're good to go. Alright, thanks everyone for hanging out as always. Remember, if you liked the video, to go ahead and give it a like and a share here on YouTube. If you want to help support my content, there's lots of different ways you can do that. You can check out our sponsors here, such as Hex Primal, with the logo on the bottom. If you're going to buy Hex ACG singles anyways, you can do so from them with the code Jeff5 to save 5% off your order. You can also support the content by subscribing on Twitch or becoming a patron on Patreon. I'll be back again tomorrow with another drafted game. Thanks for hanging out, folks.